What happens when young customers today want to bank? How do they interact with the bank? What are their requirements? How demanding can they be? But let's put that question to someone who's leading this battle in some ways and trying to win consumers' hearts and minds. My guest is Uday Kotak of Kotak Bank. Mr. Kotak, thank you very much for speaking with us. So let me, I know there are many questions which come as a result of this hypothesis or starting point, but very broadly let me ask you, how do you understand and respond to what you think are the new customers or the new young consumers of banks and banking today?
Govind, there are really two parts of this. On the one hand is the bank itself and the mindset of a bank. The mindset of a traditional bank is, oh, we are supposed to be safe, secure, we are regulated, we have a right to live forever. Okay? This mindset is a big challenge in the fast changing digital and technology world. And we have to be clear that our core is the consumer, and banking is a platform where while we manage risks, we have to ensure that we are able to serve the customer in the real world the way he or she is used to in this world. And there is a big challenge for banks to make that mindset transformation from being a bank to being a customer focused and convenience services company.
Right.
On the other hand, what we are finding is a very interesting dichotomy of behaviors within consumers. The younger consumers who haven't really faced the risk of losing money are far more comfortable with what gives them the greatest short-term consumer experience in terms of dealing with their money. And as you have older consumers, they are still more cautious and careful with their money. So how do we in this digital age, from a security point of view, we need to make sure that irrespective of what the expectation from the consumer is, we are first and foremost of all secure. At the same time, we need to meet the needs of the new consumer at the speed and convenience which he or she is expecting from us.
Right. So in some ways, are you also saying that it's easy to win trust? Because trust is the bedrock of a banking business. Is it easy to win trust of a younger consumer today compared to an older consumer, a new consumer?
The new consumer who has not gone through a cycle of having seen his or her money get lost is more comfortable trusting. And some of the issues which come in is that we need to ensure that we are meeting the speed at which that customer is expecting us to be, while protecting him or her from the risks of putting or investing money badly.
Right.
So we have a much greater responsibility ensuring consumer experience, at the same time keeping security in mind. And the security angle, very often the new consumer is not necessarily valuing enough.
Right. And what seems in some ways a contradiction. So on the other hand, you also have a situation where a lot of financial services companies and the sector are facing bad news. I mean, for various reasons.
Right.
Is this affecting the brand equity of the financial system in general, as viewed by, let's say, newer consumers in your mind, or maybe even existing consumers?
I think consumers are still not at the point where they've seen the shocks of losing their money, especially the younger consumers. So I don't think the system has created that kind of a shock, and I hope it does not. I am a believer that we do not have a systemic risk at this point of time if we handle the situation well. Yes, there is volatility, there is challenges. This is a classic every 10-year cycle India goes through,
You mentioned
1998, 2008 and 2018, but I do not think it is systemic. Having said that, I think it's important for the new consumer to understand that convenience and security are both important, and you have to modulate in terms of your priorities between these two.
And how do you deliver that as a proposition? I mean, or how do you make that promise of that delivery?
I think first is, we are very clear, security is non-negotiable. Therefore, if there's anything which would increase the risk for our customers, we would rather not do it. And the classic issue about convenience is, it reminds me of the famous hotel story. You know, for a long time, hotels did not have security. Okay, you did not have to go through being checked and frisked, because that was very upsetting from a customer experience point of view. But finally, today we've all come to live with a security check, whether it's your car or you individually, when you're getting into a 5-star or any hotel of certain significance. So we have adjusted ourselves to the reality of having the balance between convenience and safety. I think that is the lesson which we need to keep in mind for educating and basically making the new consumer understand that your convenience cannot be at the cost of security or safety.
Right. And what are your own inspirations, if I may ask that question, when it comes to finding these new consumers today in today's India and locking onto them and holding them, which is what I'm sure every bank wants to do?
For us, the moment of truth was 8th November 2016, when overnight we saw the world change in India. And post that, we came out with this new product, which we therefore named as 811. And we realized that the risk of being extinct is much higher than what we thought. Okay, and therefore, the best time you really get cracking is when you fear something. Okay, and it's that fear and a belief that the world is changing much faster than what we were ready for has made us move at great speed in the whole area of the digital and technology journey. But at the back of my mind, there is also this thing which as I mentioned earlier, when I sleep at night, I want the bank to be alive next morning. So that is something which we are very focused on, digital and technology at the speed of change, but safety at all costs.
Right. And when you look ahead, let's say the next couple of years, and I literally mean the next 1 or 2 years, what are going to be the Kotak Bank's key priorities in building customer base, ensuring the safety and security stays, and how does the brand in itself either change or not change in response to this?
See, the good thing about any technology or digital journey is it makes it easy for all. And as I was talking here at the technology conference, we need to dramatically reduce the cost of technology which banks are paying. And whether it's global or domestic providers, we need a 90-95% drop in costs, because that's what digital expects. Therefore, for us to be able to give a superior customer experience at a much lower cost point is the key for our future. And getting both together will enable us to free up our highways for much greater scale. It's a classic thing about SMS versus WhatsApp. SMS you had to pay, and WhatsApp came in. It was supposed to be a mass product, but finally everyone moved on to it. And therefore we have to be clear that be careful about customer segmentation, because a convenient product at a low or a nominal price point is valuable for all segments of customers. Therefore, focus on customer experience, focus on a dramatically lower price point for that customer to be able to get that service and protect his or her money.
Right. So this challenge of reducing 95% costs, so is anyone picking that up?
That's what I have told the Nasscom team, that start working on cutting your cost by 95%.
And you feel that's possible, which is why you're
my
putting
view,
that out in...
If there's one thing which digital has taught us, it is cheaper, faster and safer.
Right.
That's the future.
Right. And last question, technology encompasses many spaces. I mean, you are a lender to small and medium enterprises, large companies, and of course the smaller consumer or the newer consumer that we've spoken of. How do you see technology playing out in terms of extracting data, understanding your existing mid to large size customers better?
I think AI can be a significant, profound and dramatic tool in the area of lending. But what we have to be careful in this AI syndrome is also the fact that it's based on certain data and assumptions. Be very careful with assumptions, because when things go wrong and models don't work, finally we have to collect the money. Okay, so for constantly challenge the models, challenge the assumptions, even as you go down the path of AI.
So in effect, you're saying that it's opportunity versus reality, and the reality is that while there is an opportunity, the reality is that something that we shouldn't be
absolutely
racing
and keep
to.
on having a huge mindset of challenging the assumptions even as you implement AI. You have to implement AI because that's something which will make it better for you to be able to make it faster and cheaper for customers, but constantly challenge the assumptions.
Right. And last question, so is there a bank or a bank product or service that's your inspiration, not yours, in terms of, let's say, building or creating something similar globally? Or when you think of a great bank and a great service?
I think the question which comes to my mind is, if Google or Facebook decided to get into banking, banks are in trouble.
Okay.
Okay, and we have to be able to imagine how we think about our ecosystem as not just banking, but a customer play with risk management which is expected from leveraged institutions.
Right. And that goes back perfectly to the first point that you made. Thank
Right.
you very much for speaking
Thank you.
with us, Kotak.
Thank you very much.